YouTube. This is Abram from German Shepherd Ranch. I don't know where my German Shepherd is this morning. I wanted to do a video that was actually inspired by a comment from one of my viewers, Ellie Ritter. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you a shout out. And you're very well organized and you gave me some really good ideas for videos. So this one is about, my path to become minimalist. I mean, her question was, what did you do, or what did it look like for me to change to this more minimalist way of living? Currently, I'm living in a camper full-time on 80 acres that I'm homesteading. So that's what I wanted to make this movie about. Sorry, I haven't sucked down enough coffee yet. So I was out late fishing yesterday. Have you ever been fishing and like you buy a bunch of minnows and a few of them die? I've been fishing my whole life and that's normal. I bought 5 dozen minnows yesterday. Bobby's Bait Shop. Spent 15 bucks. I wanted to go crappie fishing. Took my friend Steve out. Look at that. Oh, there's one alive. Oh, you're gonna have to go to the water. Crappie minnow. 5 dozen minnows died. They were dead. I couldn't believe it. They came in a bag, and I put them in, lake water, and they went into shock, I guess. I mean, a lot of them were dead when I dumped them out of the minnow bag, and I literally was at the store and came back, put them in the boat and went and picked my friend up and headed out to the lake. So it wasn't like there was any kind of time difference, but I got a bad batch of minnows. But that compost is gonna love them. Don't worry, I'll get the live minnow back to the lake. Don't ask me how we did fishing. Well, I could tell you some fishing stories, but I'm a picture guy and I don't have any pictures to support the stories I'd tell, so I'm just going to be silent. We didn't catch hardly any. I mean, we ended up fishing with lures, couldn't catch any crappie, went around some stumps, and we just went down here, and we did get to experience a beautiful sunset and a really nice night and a great time out on the water. So I'm really thankful for having my neighbor as a fishing buddy, and hopefully we make it once or twice a week type of thing. So Ellie wanted to know when I started the minimalist type of thing. I was in Austin, Texas, and I had a big house on the golf course, and I got a divorce after a long time being married, and I feel like I started to downsize then. I had a rental house for a while, and I pared down a lot of things. It seems like my transition to this has been over time, so it didn't happen overnight. The first thing that I set out to do, I've been doing a lot of things that put me in small places for a long time. So I guess my choice and how I wanted to live life kind of dictated the amount of stuff I had. At first, when I left Austin, I left on a twin-engine boat, and I took the Intercoastal Waterway to New Orleans, and took the Gulf around all the way to the Florida Keys. And I was living on a nice sized twin-engine boat. I mean, it had 2 berths, so it probably had more space than I needed. I know it's crazy coming from a mentality of living in a, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 square foot type of house, but it was just me. At the time, I had a different dog. I had a big black German Shepherd, same breed as her, but equally good of dog. So anyway, so I needed less stuff, and of course the stuff I was going to use was different. I mean, I had I'm a scuba diver, and I teach diving, so I had a diving compressor on the boat. I mean, you know, that's not a normal item. So I started to develop this idea of I need to touch the stuff that I own. You know, all of us in our homes, we have attic and we have storage areas, and sometimes we have storage buildings, you know, and we have rental storage places. Why do we keep all this stuff? I mean, if we're not touching it, what are we saving it for? That's some of the concepts that I started to grasp. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got heirloom pieces. You know that I love to do furniture and things, so I've refurbished a lot of furniture, stuff I want to keep, and I have things that come from my family type of heirlooms that I wanted to keep forever. So those are the things that I kept. So I basically I had a mindset where I had kind of two households. I had the household, you know, things that I wanted to keep forever, like the juicer that I bought. I don't know, it was super expensive. I don't touch it. I have a feeling I'm going to go back to it. A food processor. I'm a cook, so I'd love to have a food processor. I put all this stuff in a storage, and it was stuff I wanted to keep forever. And the other stuff, I decided that I needed to touch it often if I was going to... Bring me that. You're harassing me. Come here. Don't mess with my coffee. I needed to touch it if I was going to keep it. So right now I have a rule. If I don't touch something in 6 months, I get rid of it. But, you know, like even here, I mean, now I have a fifth wheel that I live full time in. And I've lived this way in this particular fifth wheel for almost 2 years. In October, I guess the October 19th will be 2-year anniversary for being in this fifth wheel. This has a lot more space and a lot more storage than that boat did. But, you know, as I was moving along, I didn't keep that boat forever. I saw sailboats out there and I thought, I want to be a sailor. So I taught myself how to sail. And that boat actually probably had a little bit more storage than my other boat, you know, but I just transferred a lot of stuff. It was just mainly water sailing stuff and personal knick-knack type of crap that I really liked. After that, I went to go serve and live in a homeless shelter in Providence, Rhode Island. I lived there for 8 months as a minister to about 50 veterans. And that was, you know, I was carrying the stuff that I had. I had a couple bags. So I downsized dramatically. I mean, I walked into the homeless shelter with very little things, and I left with very little things. And I you know, traveled around a little bit. You know, I moved to Australia. I've had a really weird life. But I moved to Australia thinking I might want to move down there, and it wasn't very cool. So I came back, and I decided I wanted to find some land, and I prayed about it, and I ended up, you know, getting this land. So the stuff that I have now is stuff that I need. And don't get me wrong, I'm wishing that I had a lot of my things that I gave away at particular points in my life back, like, you know, amazing tools and things. But I'm basically building from scratch, so that's kind of easy too, you know. I know what I need, and I typically just try to get stuff that is going to be useful for me in my life. Now, everybody's going to have a different thought process. You know, you're going to have things that you like that, you know, I wouldn't have considered. So I would recommend that you basically, you know, get a certain amount of things, and if you're living in a home, try to stick with a certain amount of things and see if you can do it. There's that method, or there's the method that I use, just jump with both feet and figure it out. That usually works. You know, the Lord blesses me. So I have more than what I need, and I adapt quickly. I guess that's pretty good advice. Just adapt quickly. I know that as I'm living this way, I just see, you know, where I need stuff. Like, I was working my butt off, and it was super hot and dank, you know, so the wind wasn't moving. So I got this fan, and that's a favorite. You know, I just kind of go about things and pick things up that I need, and then I have to maintain things. See, now that's something that when you live in a house, at least for me, I'll just talk about my experience. Living in a home, I had all this crap, and the more crap you have, the less you take care of everything. So now all the stuff that I have, I'm sorry, this is kind of messy. You know, a lot of the stuff that I use, my power tools, I'm doing maintenance on it all the time. And I think the thing that I've learned is that if I can't take care of it, then I don't need it. So if you have stuff that requires maintenance and you're not taking care of it, you better do something about that, because out here you need stuff, and stuff breaks, and it's good to have backups. Like chainsaws. Maybe I'm a little addicted to chainsaws, but I own 3 of them. You know, we're all engineered to adapt and overcome. The Lord made us that way. So, you know, as we go and we live whatever life we live, we end up with the stuff that we have, and sometimes we need it and sometimes we don't. I just think that living like this, it becomes really evident what I need, and if I have something taking up a lot of space, I don't need it. Like a vacuum cleaner. I bought this cool like little shark vacuum cleaner thing when I first bought this camper, because it had a little bit of carpet, and it was the most minimal type of vacuum cleaner I could buy. But that was taking up a lot of space in my closet, you know, and I tore out the carpet and put in the laminate plank flooring, so I didn't really need it anymore. So that was an obvious, I need to get rid of it. It's good that I went through the times that I did when all I had was, you know, that Toyota. I've had that Toyota forever, and whatever I had basically fit in the back of it, minus the keepsake stuff that I have in a safe place that I want to bring out here after the house is built. But that's kind of my story. You know, everybody has a little bit different of a story in what they accumulate and what they need and what they put value in. I think that if you're going to live like this, the land and your projects are really going to dictate what's valuable to you, because you need stuff. I mean, I had one ladder, and I thought, you know, one ladder was okay, but it turns out I had to borrow others from my neighbor, and there's no reason for me to own 3 ladders, I didn't think. But I'm also about to get into some serious building, so, you know, apparently I guess I'm about to be a guy that owns 3 or 4 ladders. So maybe I'm the wrong person to do a minimalist video. Come here. What about you? You could talk about minimalism. This is one of her favorite toys. She doesn't have many toys, so she's probably better to talk about this than me. I wanted to show you this. My friend Sid made this out of what was it? I don't want to say it was a railroad spike. It was out of some sort of nail, and he does this amazing stuff where he makes jewelry, and he made me that cool cross, so thank you, Sid. Things with me, bedding, that was an issue. I used to have a 50-pound down comforter on my bed, and I got rid of that because it was just too hard to clean. You know, I had to go to a laundromat and find one of those extra size washers, and even then it didn't get as clean as I wanted, so I had to go with something that made more sense there. So I can't have different bed covers or duvet covers or anything like that. For you guys watching out there, those are things that make your bedspread look nice, or your quilt. Sorry. I noticed that most of my viewers are men, so I might be talking Chinese to them. So those are some of the things, like clothes. I used to have all sorts of things, you know, like look at your closet. You probably have a bunch of things in your closet that you don't use that often, you know. Suits. I used to wear suits for work, or you know, to get dressed up and go to fancy places, and I don't have any need for that. You know, now I have need for a Carhartt jacket. You know, I've got a couple of them. So mainly with me, I just kind of reprioritize space and things, and now as I accumulate stuff, I really think about it, you know, like how much am I gonna use this? I mean, when I was living in a house, my first priority wasn't thinking about buying a 16-foot trailer, but when I moved out here, I didn't have one, and I use that trailer all the time. I mean, transporting things here and there. So, you know, I just had to kind of reprioritize the stuff I was gonna get. I just can't stress enough that when you get the stuff, living like this, you've got to maintain it. And that was something that I never gave a great amount of time thinking about. Now I would say in a regular day, in a regular week, I spend about 10% of my time maintaining the stuff that I have, because I use it a lot and it needs maintenance. You know, all my engines need oil changes and tune-ups and greasing, and you know, all my chains need sharpening. That was a thing in a home, I think, that I got used to, is that I was just in the habit of accumulating a big old long list. You know, some women would call that a honeydew list, and eventually I'd get around to knocking some of it out, but I would never finish everything. So here I tend to have to finish things. You're stalking me. Do you realize how distracting this is? Come here. She was so cute yesterday on the boat. We were out, and usually when we just go out cruising around, I let her jump off the boat whenever she wants. Now we're fishing, right? And she's got to act a certain way, so I'm telling her all of her commands and everything, and she's just chilling for the most part. You know, we're fishing around her and everything's good. There were a couple times where she just said, I don't know what she said in her dog brain, but she was off the boat, splash, and she's just swimming. Like, oh man, you dog. Does anybody else have a dog that sometimes ruins their fishing? I'm sorry. Like, I intended to do a video that was talking about minimalism, and now I'm talking about getting more things. So I guess that's just kind of the season of life that I'm in. I know that initially it seemed like a big deal to not have certain things, or not want certain things, but I guess my priorities just really changed, and your priorities will change too, just depending on how you're living. You know, if you're living in a fifth wheel and you're traveling constantly, you know, you have the opportunity to accumulate much less than what I do. You know, now living on 80 acres, and I'm getting ready to start building buildings. Now, of course, once I build a building, I'm going to start filling the building up with stuff. Part of the stuff is the stuff that I have here, and part of the stuff is the stuff that I'm going to get, that I need to use for building the house and really just enjoying life. I guess it's more just about reinventing yourself, or me reinventing myself. I used to have all this stuff. I mean, pretty much anything that sat in my garage. You know, the garage was intended for 2 cars, but never could you ever fit 2 cars in your garage. And then the attic was filled with stuff, and like I say, probably had storage places, and you know, I had all this stuff that I was holding on to for some reason. I think that in my transition, I value things a lot less. I mean, if I use something, I value it a lot. Like, you know, my 4-wheeler, I use that several times a day, and then for work as well. For my boat, I use that for entertainment, and, you know, for fishing. And I use that boat several times a week. So I feel like the stuff that I have, I'm more grateful for because I use it. About that, I'm getting ready to make some benches today. I don't know that I'm going to be fully finished in a day, but hopefully I can get them built. Got a big pile of wood right there, but I sure love my table, and they're gonna match, same color and same basic style. So wish me luck. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it.